Hello, everybody. Godre here, and this is my money brief. How do I start today's money brief? Anyway, guys, I'm sure you've been in the news over the last few days, and there's a lot of stuff that you've been reading, and especially on this fuel crisis issue. And of course, it affects fuel price, and that is what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about it from the point of view of what is to come. I'm not a doom and gloom person. I'm sure you know that. I like to preach positivity, but at the same time, as much as we are preaching positivity and looking for opportunities, we also need to be able to interpret some of the things that we hear every day and some of the information that is out there. And so we woke up on Monday hearing that the NNPC had finally raised the white flag and have essentially admitted that they don't have money to pay for some of the fuel that we import, right? So essentially they can no longer subsidize. So they admitted that they are owing, and they don't think they can pay. And immediately I saw that news, I just knew what it meant was that fuel prices were going to go up. It's just a no-brainer, because when they tell you they can't pay, they're essentially telling you, look, we can't continue to subsidize. And that is why you're seeing all the queues on the street. So who knows, maybe these things are all just part of a grand plan. But at the end of the day, what we do know is that NNPC said they don't have the money, they can't pay. And so for that reason, fuel prices would essentially go up. And just as I thought, because I mentioned it on my other podcast, Follow the Money, I mentioned that fuel prices could go up, and indeed it did went up. And NNPC filling stations, as Nairametrics reported, have increased their fuel price. I think I saw 800 naira or so. I hope I'm correct, per liter. I've also read in some places that we're expecting even 900 plus. Well, today again, we now had some good news. Dangote Refinery has finally produced petrol, and so the petrol is likely going to flood the streets. We hear NNPC is currently the sole buyer for that petrol, so that means the days of fuel scarcity might be numbered if things go according to plan. And there's also gist that the entire sector will be deregulated, so which means that fuel will no longer be, be the price of petrol or fuel will no longer be determined by the government. So, fully deregulated market means that they just determine the price based on demand and supply, and other factors. And we also hear that because the crude is going to be paid in naira, so the fuel will also be paid in naira. So essentially, there won't be that much exchange rate risk. According to Dangote himself, he said we're saving 40% of our dollar demand. So we hope that will be translated to the price of fuel at the end of the day. But the point is, guys, gone are the days when you're going to see fuel at 600 naira. I think it's likely going to keep going up, except maybe crude oil prices go down, which I want to talk about soon as well as we go on this show. So, flurry of news, fuel prices going up, Dangote Refinery finally producing petrol. Maybe they'll sell petrol at the regulated prices. What does this mean for you and I? I have gone through this, and first thing that comes to mind is whatever projections we have for inflation, especially thinking inflation will come down, is out of the window, because I don't see how this would lead to lower inflation in the short term. I seriously doubt it. So you're likely going to see inflation pick up again. We noticed that there was a drop in July. The MBS did report a drop in July inflation. So we're also expecting a drop in August inflation. But with this sort of news of fuel prices going up, it's very likely that you're going to see inflation tick up again, because most people are going to want to increase the prices of goods and services. And when they increase the prices of goods and services, that means inflation will obviously go up. And so the first signal here is, if there's anything important that you need to pay for and you need to buy, you better go and do that now, because prices are likely going to go up again. Fuel prices, just like electricity price increases, it's immediately passed on, right? Consumers like to pass them on because transport is likely going to go up, and when all these things go up, you know, people who sell, business people essentially increase their prices. They adjust their price because that's the only way they can keep up with their margins. So expect prices to go up. But the other thing that I'm worried about is the exchange rate, because whenever inflation rate goes up, it tends to affect the exchange rate, and we've seen the exchange rate go above 1.6 in the black market. And if that continues, then that now even creates a spiral effect, because that now feeds into inflation and then back into exchange rate again. And so that's something that is a bit of a concern here. Yes, the Dangote Refinery is going to save us some dollars, but I'm not sure that would happen immediately. And that is just one factor. There are several other factors that are at play here. And so it looks to me like we might see some volatility return on the exchange rate side. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I think it's just what the sort of conclusions you can draw from what is going on. And so you might want to, perhaps start now to plan ahead. If you have foreign currency obligations, you want to probably start now to take care of them. I'm not saying be a speculator. We don't like speculators here at Nairametrics, but at the same time, you also want to be smart, right? Now, one other thing that I'm also following, one other news I'm following is there is also a drop in crude oil prices. In fact, crude oil prices dropped to the lowest this year, I think. $73.6, fell by 5%. And the gist is that, Libya, the warring factions in Libya seem to have sort of reached some kind of agreement that would allow crude to flow from Libya. And Libya is one of the largest producers of crude oil in the world, and they've been having issues for a while. But the story is that if Libya is able to sort out their issues, then they're going to flood the market with crude. And so that's why crude oil is also taking a dip. There's also fear again that maybe the US is also slowing down. I think there were some manufacturing numbers that came out today that investors didn't like, and so there's fear that could also impact on crude oil prices, because demand, if manufacturing is slowing down, then that could also affect demand for crude. So there are a lot of headwinds there, and that is really a very disturbing one, because when crude oil prices drop, that typically has a direct effect on the exchange rate. Now, there have been also some good news. Second quarter, we expect capital importation, that's the amount of FX that comes into Nigeria, to go up. That perhaps is dated, because that spoke for the stability we had at least between April and say June on the exchange rate side. We don't know what third quarter looks like at the moment, but the feelers we're getting is that we're still seeing FX inflow coming, but it's not doing anything to keep the naira strong or to keep the naira to continue to appreciate. Rather, we're seeing pressure on the naira, and the naira is depreciating. And this is also despite the increase we're seeing in external reserves and some of the things the government is trying to do to boost our reserves. So there is significant headwinds for the exchange rate. There is significant headwind for the exchange rate. So I think you might want to plan for that. And historically, exchange rate usually comes under pressure between September and November. At least from the data I've seen, we tend to see some kind of weakness there. And so with all these issues of fuel prices going up and inflation likely to go up, and of course, what's happening in Libya and crude oil prices, this just suggests there are headwinds. And so we just want to be careful about what to expect. So that guys, essentially is my money brief for today. I hope that I've been able to clarify some things. If you do have comments or questions, or maybe better suggestions or views, do let me know in the comment section, and then maybe I might also treat that as well. But that has been my money brief for today. And so on a good note, thank God Dangote Refinery is finally work, so we're happy at least. Let's just hope that we get very, very quality product like he promised, at the prices that are reasonable. That's a money brief for today, and do have a profitable week ahead. Bye. Peace.